Hi everyone, it's Karen Williams here, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Sarah Hamilton-Gill. She is the author of this book, Leap into HR Consulting, which launched in November 2020. We were just having a conversation of it, just feels like yesterday, but it's been out there now for well over 18 months. So this book has 78 reviews on Amazon. It was a finalist in the Business Book Awards in 2021, and it was recently featured in my video, 15 Ways to Massively Grow Your Business by Writing a Book. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So Sarah, thank you for joining me.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, Karen.
I think it's a good place to start is to tell everyone about your book and why you wrote it back in 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020.
I know. Well, and I obviously didn't know that was going to happen in 2020, nor did anybody else. But I had this absolute need and desire to want to write a book for people that were thinking about moving out of the corporate world into HR consulting. And I knew there was no other book out there. And with 28 years of experience of running more than one business in consulting business, I wanted to tap into and leave a legacy really of the knowledge that I had of, some of the things to do and some of the things not to do when you start your own business and obviously grow it.
Brilliant. And what were you struggling with before you came to Librotas? Because I know we've been in touch for many years now. So what was your main thing that your main sticking point?
I'd been on one of these weekends where you kind of, in one weekend you can write your book, and it's not entirely true. So you go on a weekend, you might get some great structure, you might get some ideas, but I came away from that weekend having done some groundwork, and it really just sat there after that weekend for probably the best part of 12 months and really didn't do much with it. And then I realized, I've been to a couple of your kind of webinars. I started reading your kind of Facebooks and all the rest of it. And I realized that if it was going to happen, there was a time for this to happen. And I wanted to get this out in the end of kind of 2020. And it was really the flow and the structure of it. I didn't feel that was quite right. And obviously when I started working with you, I found out it definitely wasn't right.
And how do you feel about it now, the structure? Because I know it flows very nicely into your bootcamp as well.
It does, and the structure of the book really works well with all the other programs and coaching programs that I do. It's it's the first port of call if somebody talks to me about wanting to move into consulting. I do point them towards getting the book first before they invest anything further in any of the programs, because it's fundamental that they do that reading first. And go from there. So yes, it certainly has been very valuable, the structure.
And I'm assuming it's time saving as well, because you don't have to repeat yourself every time. You can just say, read my book, and go through that. And it's as you can see, it's quite a meaty book.
Yes,
and there's a lot in it. It's 300 pages. So yeah, I know it's a meaty one.
Yes, and it's color coded, but obviously, if anybody wants the color version, they get in touch with me, because Amazon unfortunately only does the black and white one. But I know those that have got the special edition, they love the color coding that goes through the book. And also we put some downloadable worksheets for people as well, so that it can always be up to date. So you don't have to do a second edition, rather than which takes a lot more time to do.
Yeah, a really, really key point. So obviously in 2020, you were, before the pandemic, or you live in Corfu, you spend your time between the UK and Corfu. You were running a physical boot camp, well, not a physical boot camp, but a boot camp that was in person boot camp, probably a better word for it. And obviously you took everything online, and this book leads into the boot camp, doesn't it? So tell us how that works, and how it worked before you wrote the book and how it works now.
Well, before I wrote the book and we were doing the kind of in-person boot camps, the last one we did was literally the week before lockdown in March 2020. So that was in Winchester. And I think anybody that ran events before the pandemic will know the amount of time and money involved in running these things face to face. We then pivoted the business to take it online, because we had no other choice at the time anyway. But the book has really helped in terms of raising my presence in the marketplace, in my niche. My niche is very, very small. It's
Yeah.
HR consultants that want to set up, well, HR professionals moving into consulting. And writing the book has elevated my presence in the marketplace, hugely.
Mm.
If people are, at CIPD events, and somebody says, "Oh, I'd really like to know how to get into it," many
Mm.
people are now recommending myself and the book to go and
Yeah.
read. So it's taken a while for that to happen.
Mm.
It hasn't been an overnight success,
Mm.
but those that have read the book do love it.
Good. Well, that's important. 70. I was looking yesterday. 78 reviews and others. That's amazing. And
I know.
majority of them, like 99%, were 5-star reviews, which is always good. But it's always
I
good
know.
not to have the 5-star reviews as well, because it makes you realise that there's real people doing, reading it.
I know. Well, I'm not sure that 2-star is a real person, but there we go.
Well, yeah. I didn't look at that anyway.
We
I'm
all
not going
know
to
the
lie
rogue
about
ones. But yeah, no, I'm
it.
very, very pleased.
So tell us about some of the successes you've had in the last sort of 19, 20 months. So what's been going on for you since publishing it?
So in terms of, the book is a fundamental part of our boot camp. Everybody that joins the boot camp gets a copy of the special edition. But if I look at the different formats of the book, so we started off with the colour and the black and white, and then the Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year we converted it into an Audible as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're now on all formats. Interestingly, when I looked at the stats for this yesterday, the actual paperback is 91% of our sales.
Okay, well, yeah.
So it's still interesting that people do want a physical book, and
Yeah.
because it is a workbook as well, it's understandable.
Mm.
You want something you can write in, make notes in.
Yeah.
So the format was interesting. The marketplace is also interesting. So in July, just had the stats come through. So top marketplace is the UK 62%, but America's 38%.
Okay. Mm.
So again, there's an opportunity there. Ordinarily, if I hadn't had a book, I wouldn't be doing
Mm.
work in America.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So the book has also led to, I've had a couple of people from America join the boot camps as well on the back of the book.
Mm.
So the book does open up opportunities for your business.
Mm.
So when we talk about return on investment, it's not just the sales that you're getting in from the sales of your book; it's the actual revenue that's been generated on the back of having a book. It's really
Mm.
important.
And do you know what those figures are?
I do. So the book sales alone, and this is with no promotion really, because I
Mm.
don't do a lot of it at the moment. So 5K to date
Okay.
on book sales.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's obviously is not sales; that's pure profit.
Yeah. So is
So
that sales from Amazon online bookstores, or
yes,
is that sales? So that's not including sales direct from you.
yes, that's just purely sales through
Yeah.
Amazon and a
Okay.
few that have done direct with us. Um, and then in terms of the revenue that we've generated from people that have bought the book and then gone on to a program,
Mm.
I would say it's at least 10K plus,
Mm.
if not more. So
Mm.
probably the book's 15K so far. So yeah, so I mean,
Mm.
I invested in your programs, the mentoring, the editing, and the publishing. So I've recouped all my money and more from that.
Mm-hmm. And what difference has had your book made to the people you've worked with? 'Cause I think that's important, because it can be in terms of talking the figures. Actually, if you didn't have your book, you wouldn't be able to serve the people you serve. So what difference has your book and what you do in the marketplace made to the people you work with on a day-to-day basis?
Some people have read the book, and it's not just about gaining knowledge when you read the book. A
Mm.
lot of people have read my story, read the book, and feel energized and confident that they too can make the move.
Mm.
And they can relate to my story, which I
Mm.
share in there about not having confidence as a child and going to boarding school and all those kind of horror stories. And I've had people reach out to me saying, and I, quite taken aback when you get these comments. That book has saved my life, and you think, crikey,
Mm. Wow.
you know. So
Yeah.
it has quite a profound impact on individuals that are wanting to make big changes in their life and are either stuck or don't know how to do it.
Mm. Mm. And in terms of the boot camp, obviously, you know, I remember right in the early days, you were very excited when people started coming to your boot camp and attending the events with you because of reading your book. And that is the dream, isn't it? That's why most people write their books.
Yeah, I know. And the funny thing was that when I went to my first in-person conference in London in March, I was at this conference and I was just standing there having my lunch, and this woman came up to me. She said, "Oh, you're Sarah, aren't you?" And I'm thinking, I don't know who you are. She said, "I've got your book." And that was the first time that had ever happened. And it kind of was a bit weird. It was like
Yeah.
strange that people knew me, but I didn't know who they were. So
I love
yeah,
it when that happened. So, any other success stories, Sarah? Anything else that you want to share with us that's come as a result of the book?
I think um, I think there's a huge for me. It was a huge challenge writing a book. English is my worst subject at school. It's
Mm,
probably still is my worst thing. So for me, it was a huge challenge to write a book, publish a book, and actually have some really good success on the back of it. Um,
mm,
you have to go beyond your fear and your comfort zone, because if somebody said to me 3 or 4 years ago, Sarah, you need to write a book and get it out there, I
mm,
just wouldn't. It just wasn't on my radar. I would have
mm.
not done it. So I think we all have a book in us, actually, and
So,
I'm
it's
sure
a
you say
personal.
that all the time.
I don't think everyone should write it, but do you feel that there's been a personal growth in you in terms of writing it as well as the benefit on the business?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I do. You and I have had this conversation about, is there a book number two? I think probably there's going to be a revised book one with some additional content in it rather
Yeah.
than a new book two. But in terms of how I think about things, I also often, and sounds really crazy, but occasionally I read my book and I think, oh, that's interesting. I'd forgotten that was in there. So I do go back to it and have a look at it and read it. And, and sometimes I just ask myself, did I actually write that? so, so yeah, so no, that has made a huge difference to me personally, as well as my business.
Yeah, I've certainly seen you growing over the last sort of 18 to 2 months or 2 years, really, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
terms of, you know, the highs and the lows, because let's face it,
yes,
we all get
you
them
do
when we're
get
writing
those.
as
Yeah,
well. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So what's next for you, Sarah? What's coming up? Obviously, you said a revision of the first book rather than a book two at the moment.
Yes, yeah. Well,
I'll try and
there's
convince you.
I know. Well, yes, there is definitely. I could definitely write a book too, because it's the next stage on from what I've done, but it's a crowded marketplace, the book I'm
Mm,
thinking of, whereas this one is quite niche. My There are some really exciting things that are happening in September, but I can't share them with you at the moment. But it will bring together the book, the boot camps, all the other things that we're doing, and I want to spend more time in the marketplaces like America, Canada, and New Zealand. So
mm,
I've got some plans to go out to America and to New Zealand next year as well.
mm.
So and Australia,
Exciting.
we've got some contacts in Australia. So it's just really building on the book and
Yeah.
just getting it out there.
Building on the book and the brand, isn't it? And I know you were
Yeah,
telling me
yeah.
before we press record that you're taking on some Greek clients as well, which is amazing.
I know, I know. I have my first couple of Greek clients out here in Corfu, which is you know, just solidifies my living the dream out here in Corfu, really.
Yeah, yeah, I was just about to say that. So I'm glad to see you're living the dream. So what it's
Yeah.
all about. So what would be
Yes.
your final tips, Sarah, for anyone who's thinking about writing a book but they haven't done it yet? I always like to share those.
Well, don't do what I did. Don't procrastinate, and reach out. You've got a fantastic program where it's really structured. It really takes you from A to B and all the things that you need to do to write a book. Just invest in yourself and accelerate the process rather than trying to fathom it out for yourself and then coming to you when you've got half a book or a few ideas, and it's harder to then unpick it. So you
Mm,
know reach out and talk to you, and you and the team are absolutely brilliant, and it wouldn't have
thank you.
happened without you and the team. So I'd highly recommend your services, because you know, if I was right, if or when I write another one, I'll definitely be coming back to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for your time today.
Pleasure.